What's up, everyone? Happy weekend. Welcome to the weekend live stream. This is a very special one because I have a cool guest that I think you know a little something about. And we have something fun we get to announce, which is exciting because I feel like this hasn't happened in a while. So, without further ado, hey, Coy.
Oh, hey!
What's up?
We
How you
we get
doing?
to talk a positive thing, and it's the future, not the past. We get to
I
usher
know.
in a thing.
And it's a really cool thing too, because before we even announce what the thing is, it literally is a thing that celebrates the love of movies and also the ability to be able to share your love of a certain movie with other people, which makes it extra special.
It's also something I feel like with revisits you can experience differently, which I like. I really enjoy something that's a rewatch, and I think it'll encourage both rewatches of the things we love, but also the show itself, because there's going to be details and Easter eggs and aha moments. And I also
Yes.
think that you and I only got to work together for a year, and that's foolish. So frankly, it just made sense for this to happen.
So now that we've kind of told you a little bit about the show, let's make the announcement official. Coy and I are reteaming for a new show happening over at Collider, and it's called Movie Club. Basically, think book club type conversation, but for movies. And on every single installment of the show, we're going to highlight a different movie. And we're not just going to sit there and be like, that's my favorite scene. I love that part. That actor's great. It's really going to give us the time to take a breath and have a long form conversation about the tinier details and the bigger themes that a movie has. And it's giving us the opportunity to talk about some of our all-time favorite movies. And I don't think we could have made a stronger decision for our talking topic for episode number 1, which you're going to be able to see next week. We're doing Mad Max Fury Road.
It is right now quite the experience of a film. I would argue it's one of the best modern action films, and there's so much more to it that we don't get to discuss on more broad-based shows. It's going into the details of how dense that movie is. You can break that movie down frame by frame and have a complete experience, which I start to do in the episode. So you'll see. But I'm very excited. I'm very excited about the fact that we get to do a show that basically feels like a college thesis paper, but in an exciting format. We get to break down things. So if you're a lover of movies, it's not just a show about what's happening that week, because this year, frankly, taught us anything that the news of the week is just what got delayed. So I'm really excited to talk about things beyond delays and studio shuffles and who got cast as what. I want to talk about the structure of why we love movies, why seeing this logo fills us with glee, why we can hear what this picture sounds like, and all of the things that come from being a movie lover. And that's something Perri and I have always shared. When we went to Hawaii, we just yelled Jurassic Park things at each other. And that was something I was like, we need more cameras on this, because this is literally Perri and I yelling Jurassic Park things at each other. The world needs this, and now that's what we're doing. And we see nuance and detail in movies that others might not. We also learn from others, things we might not have seen. And the beauty of YouTube is those comments and all the things that we can learn from each other. It becomes this Ouroboros of knowledge about movies. And that is the power of the internet, is connectivity. And we're connecting to you with a movie club. Dear audience, dear internet. So excited.
Before we even talk more about Movie Club, I'm going to let you know this live stream is going to last about 25 minutes, 30 minutes total. And we're going to have time to take your live questions. So start dropping them in the chat. We're going to answer as many questions as we possibly can. But back to Movie Club quickly. So I want to tell you guys that in addition to me being on the show, in addition to Coy being on the show, we are going to have a third chair every single episode, and you're going to see some familiar faces. You're going to meet some new people, but we can tell you who our first 2 guests are. The very first one that you're getting for Mad Max Fury Road is Hector Navarro. So you can guarantee there's going to be some 3D talking in this episode. And then we're going to follow up episode 1 with a super cool guest who I think is just the greatest, Angelique Jackson from Variety. She's so freaking smart, and we've got some fun stuff planned for that episode.
Can we say what movie that is? Because it's very exciting to me.
It's pretty much a done deal. If we can announce Angelique, we can announce the topic.
We're going to be talking about The Taming of the Shrew itself, 10 Things I Hate About You, Heath Ledger's American debut, a movie that launched a bunch of careers and a bunch of hearts. The high school movie for my money, and I'm very excited to dive into the insane amount of work that went into that movie and to revisit a movie that's somehow 21 years old. I looked at the date the other day and I did the math, and like the date seemed normal and the time frame seemed normal. Once I did the math, it became a very, oh no, why did I, don't do that. So I'm gonna avoid that in the future. But I really the duo of Hector and Angelique, the duo of Fury Road and 10 Things, these are the kind of things we want this show to be. And I think the amount of movies we share is going to be really unique, because when we started doing the Schmodown, everyone was like, oh, Perri loves horror. And I was like, no. Perri loves movies. And it's going to be really fun when we get to horror movies that I'm like, okay, let's talk about how scared I was for 2 hours. And you can show me the nuance of things that I might not have missed. Like, and then if we get to superhero stuff, there can always be things where I can be like, this is why this might apply to blankety blank. So there's so many things to learn with just us yelling at each other. Again, Hawaii.
Right. Literally everything is on the table for this show. I mean, in all of our pre-production meetings that we've had, really the only strict rule is that we only talk about things that we could talk about passionately. It's not a situation where you have a lineup or a list of topics based on what the hot news is of the week. We come together and we say, like, what would excite you to have a conversation about? And that's how the show is built. And I think you could feel that energy big time in that first episode, which is already in the can. And I have QC'd the first half of that episode. And I just want to take a moment to give a big round of applause for Thad, because he really just cuts that so beautifully, to the point that like the conversation just flows really well. But on top of that, you're also getting visual references that really enhance the conversation. And that just works so hard on everything. So I'm so grateful for him. Another really cool thing about the beginning of this show is that we're working with a company called Movies Anywhere. And you can go over to Movies Anywhere, and it's basically just this place where you can buy all of your favorite movies and it stays in one library. But we're also specifically focusing on their Screen Pass element. And the Screen Pass part of it ties so well into what we were just talking about, as far as Movie Club being a place for us to share and celebrate the movies we love. Because through Screen Pass, you're allowed to share the movies that you own with other Movies Anywhere subscribers, which is so cool. So it's like, after Movie Club, if the episode really excites you and gives you the urge to share the Mad Max you own with somebody else, like, you can.
I used it for the first time last night. I used Screen Pass because my friends and I, every Saturday night, we watch a movie together. They're in Boston, I'm here, so we Zoom, and it's like a tradition. We started it in March because we knew we were going to see each other this year. So we've been doing this movie thing. And then my friend sent me a Movies Anywhere link, and I was like, wait, he doesn't know we haven't announced this yet. So the moment in the world, we watched Lost Boys, and he was able to send me a Screen Pass, so I was able to see how simple it was, how lean it was, how efficient the program is, and it works on so many different devices. It works with so many different infrastructure companies. Like, you can make it work anywhere, which is aptly titled. So I'm really excited to talk about the ability to share movies, because that's kind of what the internet became, is sharing information. And the corner of the internet that we focus on is movies. So sharing these movies instead of just saying like, oh no, this person left directing, like the actual experience. Because right now we can't go to the movie theater, and that's how I used to share movies, is dragging my friends to the theater 8 times a week. So now we can do this in quarantine.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you actually put it to good use too. I'm just excited to hear that, because we've worked with Movies Anywhere before, so it was on my radar, but I was really excited to just be encouraged to really jump in and use this system, because, you know, we all know the familiar streamers and other things you can subscribe to now, but I feel like more people truly need to be aware of what they're doing over there.
And there's so many streamers, it's hard to keep track of where things are. Whereas with Movies Anywhere, you know what movie you're getting, and it's a direct thing. And the synchronicity of it happening yesterday. Like last night, I got a link and was like, "Wait, really? Like how
like universe? Right after our pre-production meeting for episode 2."
Like between yesterday and that was the middle. It was between yesterday morning and the night, 12 hours in between. Here's the Movies Anywhere.
All right, let's hit some of these questions. I saw a couple come in. Yeah, this is Lewis. I remember Lewis very well from Movie Talk days. Is it going to be a weekly show? Best of luck in the world to both of you. So one of the freeing things about this show is we're not forced to stick to releasing an episode a specific day a week, every day of the week. We are putting our focus on our first 4 episodes, which you can expect on a weekly basis for an extended period of time. But we're keeping things fluid. We're giving us the opportunity to maybe drop an episode because a holiday has us excited to celebrate a certain movie. It's just, we're trying to keep the possibilities wide open for this one. So that is the plan.
For me, it's the strength of the internet versus a network, as we can look at, we're excited about blank. Oh, let's do this time. We're excited about guest. We can do this schedule. So the internet being so flexible really allows this show to not feel like you're watching the TV guide going like, when is that thing on? And instead you can just count on more zealous content.
I have a feeling we have a similar answer to this question here. Matt the Movie says, along with talking big movies, will we be talking about smaller, more obscure movies that people may not have heard of? I mean, again, like, the possibilities are endless with this show. We have the creative control to decide what we want to do based on what we're most passionate about. And if the time comes where we have both Coy and I and a third chair who are really excited about something that isn't a gigantic studio film, you can bet we're going to cover it. I'm really liking the string of movies that you're showing off.
I'm like, what are my favorite under $20 million movies in the C to D's? Because that's the closest shot to me.
Dope is a mighty good pick right there.
Dope is incredible. Dope is one of those movies that it came out and I waited for the world to go like, this is going to change things. And only the corner of us found it, yell it all the time. And it needs to be, it's like Blind Spotting. Like Blind Spotting, I feel like is the best movie of 2018 that wasn't starring Spider-Man. Like, because Spider-Verse came out in 2018, so I got to give love to that. But this movie is, and I will yell about this from every rooftop if you let me, internet. So yes, I agree with Perri whenever we can.
And Coy, wait until you get to see his next movie. It's called Summertime, and it debuted at Sundance earlier this year. And it's so different. And admittedly, I walked in having made assumptions, thinking that it just wouldn't be for me. Something that I would assume wasn't for me turned out to really change my opinion on it. And I was just I really appreciated the encouragement to open my mind up to other forms of art. And I thought it was great.
Have you seen his new, the two of them have a show together with Ethan Hawke, the something bird, good lady bird. It's on Showtime.
The good shit. It's like on the tip of my tongue, and I can't put the
Good Lord Bird, maybe?
I think that might be it.
It's a series of words I wouldn't have put together that I know is very iconic.
I think here's the Good Lord Bird.
I really want to see it because it's Rafa and David together again. They're like ride or die Oakland homies. So, and their albums are incredible. If you've never heard David's clipping or the soundtrack to Blind Spotting or any of the mixtapes like 11 Days in Chicago, 7 Days in Chicago. David and Rafa, some of the best music of the last 5 years. Holy crap. Also check that out. We'll do a music show next.
All right, we got another question here from Doug. It's a good one. Can viewers send in questions about the movie for you to answer a la mailbag-ish? We are working on that. That was one of the things when we were trying to figure out this whole concept that was like a top priority on the list. But I think we need to establish the show a little more and create a little more consistency as far as how that back and forth between us and you guys is going to work. But there are a lot of ways we want to connect our little bubble of movie club with everybody out there watching the show. And we have a couple of ideas brewing that I think we're going to be able to implement in the next few weeks that I think you're really going to enjoy engaging with.
Yeah, I'd consider it a number one priority item, and it is part of the beauty of the format of the internet. So know that we want this club to be a club. Like, you don't have a one-way book club. If it's just someone like preaching a book, that's church, and that's freaking me out. So we're going to do a club, and hopefully that's interactive so we can all vibe together.
All right. What else do we have here? Here's an easy one. Will the new show have its own playlist that I can follow? I suppose it will. It is a new show. I have a feeling Thad will create a playlist, so you'll be able to subscribe to that playlist and get all the episodes that way. What else do we have here? The Geeky Gator. What's up, man? Do you guys know any movies you have very different opinions on? Ooh, this is a good question.
I think I know one, and I don't know if we'll brave that subject, but I think Armageddon's one of the worst movies ever made.
So I think that Armageddon is super is super cheesy and formulaic, but I think when you play into formula like that well, it's still a good movie in its own right.
Lethal Weapon plays into it well. SWAT plays into it well. This is a movie where they decide the logic is you'll teach drillers how to be astronauts instead of astronauts how to drill. It doesn't make any sense. It does
but it's fun to watch.
The first plot line takes you down. You can't go from there. Like, my suspension of disbelief was shattered in the first 5 minutes. Plus, creepily having Liv Tyler's dad sing her a love ballad while she's making out with Ben Affleck, that's just odd. Like, that's so, like, uncomfortable. Like, that's your dad, bro.
It's a classic.
It's not the song to sing to your daughter making out with Ben. But, you know, I'm sure actually it'll be fun during the show to find out what movies Perri and I do disagree on, because we generally have similar taste. It's just every so often there'll be a...
That's fairly true. I'm actually genuinely surprised that you wouldn't like Armageddon, because I think there are certain things that kind of play to your sensibilities in that one.
I'm one of 7 Americans that own SWAT. I don't think many people own the Jeremy Renner Breakout MTV Star of the Year Award, SWAT, with LL Cool J and Sammy Jackson. And at one point they sing the SWAT theme song from the show in the movie. This is my kind of Armageddon. This right here.
All right, we got more questions here. I can't answer this one, but I do want to bring it up just so you know we're working on it. Brandon Bishop is asking, will it be available as a podcast in addition to YouTube? That area is changing right now, but as we figure out what the details are going to be in that department going forward, we will definitely be keeping you posted on that. But we are working on it. As I scroll to I can't not pick this one from Lewis, because I do miss this. Were you on bread episodes, Coy? Are you going to talk about movies like bread?
I'm pretty sure 2018 was just bread-based.
Yeah.
Dorian would break into Heroes episodes and yell about bread. That is just what
I forgot he would do it over there also, but I feel like there was a solid, 20-episode run of Movie Talk where we always brought up bread.
Yeah, we'll talk about Ratatouille. We'll talk about how many a chef is a fine film involving bread. You can't make a Cuban without bread.
All right, here's another question, an unrelated question to Movie Club. Riley wants to know, what movie coming out in the next year will make the most money, do you think?
2021?
2021. So if we're looking at 2021 right now, I would probably go to the second half of the year. Who knows what's going to happen in the first half? I don't want to be doom and gloom here, but I still think there's going to be an adjustment period to getting people back into the theater to make the big bucks. One of the first movies that came to mind, and I don't mean like Avengers Endgame, hi Dewey, level money. He's here.
Yeah, good. Spidey's sleeping over there. I wanted to steal him, but he's precious.
Right now, I'm thinking a movie that is just going to do extremely well with its production budget in consideration. And I think Candyman is going to be a massive success. I think that's a genre movie that's just going to wind up popping big time.
Funny that we stick to our genres, but I think Wonder Woman 84 is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, like, it getting delayed is building hype. The movie looks stunning, and I think the first one did well, but became even more beloved after release. So I feel like the build up for Wonder Woman is going to help it a lot. And honestly, I don't know how the Eternals will do, because we've seen none of it. Like, I can't give it a fair shake because we don't have a trailer or anything. So
I was hoping they would have released a trailer by now.
I think they're afraid. I think they want a release date so it doesn't just say theaters at the end. Like, I think once they do that, then we might get it. But that means they've got a lot of time for post.
We all know the reality of this situation. It's not like in theaters is really going to be that big of a bummer at the end of the trailer. Like, we know we have to wait. And I feel like that fan base is just a fan base that wants anything that they can get right now. I think In the Heights is going to be huge. Especially if the box office does roar back to an extent summer next year. I think that one's going to be a big, big winner. And I
think Bond's going to do well too. Because when Bond moved, that went from an April spot. We were about to get Bond. Like, I feel like Bond and A Quiet Place were our two, like, oh my God. And then they left us. So I feel like when those come back, they've been the most, like, blue balls of the releases. Like, we're all, like, right there.
Suicide Squad also, because I believe this new Suicide Squad has the old Suicide Squad's release date. And if box office trends stay intact, then that could be a major moneymaker for that movie.
And also 2022 yeah, it also looks like we didn't even see a trailer. We saw BTS and we're just enthralled. And I think when the Batman comes out in 2022, it's going to change cinema.
Oh my, I cannot wait for that movie. I think everybody out there shares that opinion. All right. What else do we got here? While I'm looking for more questions. All right, wait, here I got one already. One for you, Coy. Carlita wants to know, Coy, are you going to be in the multiverse of Madness or Spider-Man 4?
Well, my son is already in the Miles Morales Spider-Man game. Spidey Cat's rocking out on PS4 and PS5, coming at you this month. I think I've always wanted to be Flash Thompson because I've always joked that I'm a Flash Thompson, but a Peter Parker-minded one. So I've always thought it would be funny so maybe in a multiverse, if I can talk to the powers that be, I can be another universe's Flash Thompson, and me and Tony Revolori can like high five through a portal. Because I knew Chris Zalka a little bit, and I know Tony now, so I know the Flashes. So there needs to be a moment of a flash point, if you will. So yes, if I had all the power in the world, I would be in either of those as Flash Thompson.
I'm all for that. Here's another one from AJ Post. Will the new show have a theme song? At this point in time, no, it won't have a theme song, but the music that we're going to use for the opening is something that feels like it links well with the movie being discussed. So based on what I've heard from the Mad Max installment, it's something that sounds a bit like that score, but of course, with it being appropriate for us to use so we don't wind up in any trouble. But that is the plan.
Junkie XL, yes, maybe, yes. Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Espionage Joker wants to know, what's Dewey's favorite movie? Does Spidey Cat have a favorite movie? Is it just like safe to assume it would be a Spider-Man movie?
He actually really, really likes Friends. Whenever Friends is on, he's fully enthralled in the TV. I know that's a show, but whatever the color palette is of Friends, he is about. So
I guess I kind of have to say Scream is Dewey's favorite movie, but I think Dewey's favorite person over the course of lockdown has become Asa Butterfield. It's just, Dewey is usually in my lap during every single interview that I do, but he seemed to be paying the most attention to that interview. I think he could just sense that Ace is also a cat lover. So I will say Dewey's favorite movie is Scream, but his favorite actor is Asa Butterfield, in case anyone was wondering.
I respect that.
I had another very important question from Lewis. Will there be a booze movie club like beer and movies? So, movie club itself isn't a drinky show, but as I think we've already said this publicly, that we need to find a time to get you on the Merry Hour, because we were talking a little bit about doing a King's Cup edition of Merry Hour.
And there's also a lot of music I want to share with you. So either way,
Power Hour too, don't we?
Like a Power Hour with both of us playing, because it's going to not be a guessing game. It's going to be very obvious which of our music is whose, but it'd be fun to like share a minute of each of like 30 songs. Each would be so rad.
I need to discuss this more thoroughly with Matt Donato, my Merry Hour co-host, because I've been a little distracted because my partner, Christy Puchko, has been absolutely crushing it. So Matt just keeps losing every week, and I'm so focused on being a winner at beer pong that I've forgotten about other things. So until Matt gets it together and can beat us at beer pong, I don't know what to do.
So there's no competition in us sharing music and drinking. And I feel like the audience will appreciate that, because the tricky thing is Perri is very competitive, which is why she's on the court. But the problem is I'm very competitive, but I'm bad at beer pong and awful at the Schmodown. So like King's Cup is a game that I feel like I do well at, because the rules are more like in my thinking wheelhouse.
I'm really surprised that you're bad at beer pong.
I used to box, so I have really bad nerve damage in my left eye. So my depth perception is really bad. Gotcha. My eye shudders. It's not a blink. Like I can literally, when I'm not thinking of keeping this eye open, it just closes. So when I'm really drunk or tired, I have like a shutter eye.
Even though that's the case, I'm surprised you could wink like that with such purpose. Like I feel like if I try to close one eye, my whole face will contort.
Oh no, this is how it is automatically. I have to think about opening it. So this is like default. Because I got hit and it split my eyelid open. So like my eyelid closes. So when I'm really tired, actually, if you watch old episodes of Movie Talk that were early in the morning, sometimes my eye will just do this because I'm not awake enough to have it like shutter open. So like that's my drunk or tired tell, is I'm just like one-eyed Coy.
Dude, I never knew that.
Yeah, so when I'm playing beer pong, like I have a little bit of a wobble wobble.
Huh. Well, in that case, we'll play King's Cup just to be safe.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's be fair.
Oh, well, I guess we can also talk about Schmodown now because our first teams match is out. Holy shit! Holy shit!
You and Haley coming back from the biggest deficit in Schmodown history is exactly why I knew you guys would be my team. Like I wasn't just talking you up in the second going to the third round. I was like, no, this is where we're gonna go. Like this is where we're at, and I meant it.
So you're not going to entirely like hearing this, but you know when Haley and I had to go off and wait for the results of their round 2, we were in good spirits, but being in good spirits doesn't mean we had any faith that we could actually pull this off. Like we were like, whatever, like we tried, like it was the luck of the wheel. Oh well, it's not our fault kind of thing. And like we were feeling good, but we didn't go back into that match thinking like we still have a chance. We got to like really think about this shit. And I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
I know you guys. The second round wasn't on you, and I love that you both accepted that it wasn't on you. The wheel wasn't your friend, and you guys didn't get hard on yourself. You guys, because I even last season I think you might have, but this season we're playing a very different game. It's very important to shape the narrative of, hey, we've got another round to have fun and play this game. Let's enjoy this round. And you were able to shake the Kurt Russell cobwebs, and you never let it be personal. And then you guys had a huge win over a very good team.
And we learned from it too, because I think that our mentality going into that was just like sectioning off a certain percentage of the wheel to determine if a category we spun was worth spinning away from. And I think we're just like reshaping those numbers for the future, like trying to be a little less picky about that.
And the win or learn thing is how we become multi-champions. Like I want next season's Quirky Mercs to hold every belt because we're going to learn from any of these mistakes. And we didn't know this season would be a 3-month window where we didn't get to play. Like the fact that Haley just played for the first time will not be happening. You know what I mean? Like the rust, like ring rust won't be a thing next year because we'll know what's going on.
I still can't believe how much I've played this year. I mean, the horror free-for-all wasn't my best showing, but I kind of wish what happened with that was that I got a worse number. Like I got a really good number, but by the time I got into the ring, I had already watched the other 3 people crush it. And I think I've already proven in every single other match that I've played this year is it takes me a minute to like,
warm into it.
Yeah, like get into it. So the whole idea of a free-for-all format doesn't necessarily suit my current playing sensibilities.
Sounds to me like that's something else we learned, which is a benefit.
Exactly.
That's how we play.
True. It's
that's
so
how
true.
The Mercs do. We got one belt, and we're going to keep defending it and holding on to it, and we're going to get more belts because that's how we play.
And I'm learning so much because of you. So thank you, Coy, for just like freaking embracing me, bringing me back into the league, being patient and kind and encouraging. I'm going to keep repeating that as I play. That's
why we're doing a show, so we can both, like, when one of us gets too hyphy about a movie, we can be like, hey, remember the patience we've been working on.
Exactly. So as we wind this down, I feel like we should give everybody out there a recommendation.
Ooh, I like that.
You want to close out with that?
The 3 I gave in the C to D's, notwithstanding, Candy, Crazy Heart, and Dope are very important. But let's see, what have I enjoyed lately? Perri, you give yours, and I'm gonna look. So I want to visualize.
All right. I'm gonna ramble a little because I've got quite a few. A lot of you have heard this, especially if you've spent even a minute on this channel. You've probably heard me bring up His House on Netflix. It's an absolute must-watch, hands down one of the best horror movies of the year. I can't recommend it enough. I am posting a full Dash and Lily review in a couple hours, actually. I think just 3 hours away it's going to go up. But I'll give you a little teaser. It's just like a show that makes you happy. So if you want a show with Christmas spirit that makes you happy, I think you should watch that as well. I just finished watching A Teacher, and I think it is quite good. I was a little concerned with how they were going to handle that subject matter. And I was a little concerned about how I felt about that relationship throughout the series. But when they get to that end, I really do think that they found a really solid ending for that show and that story that I think will enlighten you on that kind of relationship, maybe more so than you were before. So I do recommend checking out A Teacher on Hulu as well.
I watched Johnny Dangerously for the first time, which is a lot of people's like childhood film. It actually was so good. I think I see Michael Keaton as Johnny Dangerously over Batman now, which is saying something because he's also the Vulture. Johnny Dangerously is one of the funniest slapstick comedies I've ever seen in my life, and it changed my take on an actor I already loved. Highly recommend. A movie that everyone hates that I think is this is my Armageddon. A movie everyone loves that I hate is Armageddon. A movie that
Is it
everyone
Pearl
hates.
Harbor?
Oh no, it's much better. It's Guy Ritchie's King Arthur. I love this movie so much.
I don't love it, but I do like it a lot more than I think the majority based on the response when the movie hit theaters.
It's Guillermo del Toro and Guy Ritchie doing acid and reading Arthurian myths together. It's such a drug trip of an experience. It's like all of the action you want out of an action movie, but with weird psychedelic visuals and these insane myths, and they're like assembling the Avengers of a round table. Like, this movie's bitching.
I'm into it. It's also just like a really mesmerizing, like a beautifully shot movie that's borderline mesmerizing. Like, regardless of, the meat of the story, I couldn't take my eyes off of it, and I was enjoying watching it. So,
and the edits are so much fun. That. Like, it's so well edited. Yeah. It's such a zesty. And then these two
got a good deal of energy to it. Ooh.
These are in your honor. These are Perri picks.
Is that Fright Night in the back?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a little glare there. The new Fright Night. New Fright Night is pretty good.
And like, I feel like because it's a remake, it got slept on. But the charm of Colin Farrell, the power of Anton Yelchin, like the insanity of David Tennant, it's a really watchable rewatch. Yeah. And of course, the first Fright Night is legend. But if you remove that from your expectation, this movie's a blast of a modern horror. This to me is like the modern Lost Boys. Like Lost Boys is the better one.
Like when we talk about horror classics getting remade, Fright Night is one of the ones that is actually worth it. It was worth another go around.
And it's got that horror comedy thing that's so hard to land right, like Cabin in the Woods does, and Buffy does, and Lost Boys. But there's so many that try, and I feel like Fright Night landed it. And I'd say the most horrific LA movie. Yeah. I love this movie so damn much.
I love Nightcrawler.
And like as a character study in horror, and this could have been a Mike Myers movie as far as like how the character goes. Like this movie is so good, and you're just so viscerally affected by someone that you're like leaning into horrific things, and that's what the movie's about. Like we're leaning into this, and I feel like people saw it, but not enough. So I recommend Nightcrawler.
I definitely give Nightcrawler another push as well. All right, this is it. So Coy and I have to say goodbye now. But stay tuned for more information on our Twitter accounts, on the Collider social media, because we're going to have more information about when you could see the very first edition of Movie Club, Mad Max Fury Road, with me, with Coy, with Hector, coming so soon. I'm so excited. Wait, another thing that I'm really excited about, or I'm like a little excited about in the first episode, but we'll work on, are the Mevos.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I'm really pumped, and I want to start using that on everything else I do too. It's so nice to have like a clear, crisp image for a change.
It's so different to be sitting in a room and like trusting the device you're on. Like I'm always on my phone and I'm like prepared for the phone to ring and I'll be like, no. And like just the panic of this version of, I love Mevos.
My Mevo had a sensor issue. So
did you figure it out?
We did figure it out. I will tell you that Mevo customer support was hands down one of the most pleasant customer support experiences. They were just so good about walking me through all the troubleshooting, and I sent them a bunch of footage and they did all their tests. The sensor on mine wasn't working, so if I look a little blue in that frame, that is why. Problem solved. And we're going to set it up and we're going to get it, and Coy will look like we're the like I'm not like sickly looking.
Yeah, by the time we get to 10 things, she won't be a Navi. So trust in the Navi process fading for episode 2. I'm excited we have an ongoing show, Collider again. I'm really stoked to play. This is going to be so much fun.
I'm just so excited. Like I have an excuse to see your face even more often.
Yeah, like now we get to powwow out. It doesn't have to be about competition. I don't have to be like, okay, now this is how we take down the other. Like now we get to just...
I was enjoying that quite a bit, but I look forward to having the other kind of conversation with you too.
Now it's both, and that's the best. And we kick off with Fury Road, which is survival.
Oh man, that movie I could just watch. Watch the regular version over and over, and the black and chrome one over and over, and read the graphic novels. Oh my god, guys, you have a lot.
Watch it in 3D. I'll say it for Hector, and experience the novelization, and watch the old 3. There's so many ways to Mad Max.
All right, guys, we are out of here. Coy, do send Spidey my love. Dewey sends his right back to you. where can everybody find you on the social medias?
On Twitter and Instagram at Coy Jandreau, CoyJandreau. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Patreon. You can find me on my own podcast. I don't like free time. I don't like sleep. I like content. So I'm making all the stuff, all the places, and now more with Perri, which is very exciting.
Collider Movie Club.